so Skid Spotlights put out Gwen's abilities so we can actually see what they do, what their descriptions are, and how they work together. Big thanks to Skin Spotlights for making these content. If you ever want to know, hey, do I want to buy a skin? Go check out Skin Spotlights. They're amazing. Give them all the love they deserve. So let's start it out. I've read this before, so it's not going to be too surprising to me. But, so passive 1000 cuts. Gwen's basic attacks deal bonus on hit and magic damage based on a percentage of her health. I assume that means max HP. Unless that's like a weird Irelia thing where the lower she is, the more damage she does, but I doubt that. So it's probably max HP. Basic attacks against champions will heal her for some of the damage dealt. So we see her auto attacking. So that doesn't really say much. That's kind of an Irelia vibe where it's an auto attack focus. But as we see with her Q coming up, Q, snip, sip. Gwen rapidly snips her scissors between 2 and 6 times, dealing magic damage in a cone. At minimum, Gwen will snip twice, adding 1 snip per basic attack. Gwen has already landed on the enemy, up to 4 for a total of 6. So that's how we see her in the thing where she snipped a million times. Enemies at the center of each snip take true damage, as well as bonus magic damage from 1000 cuts. So, what this is saying, these two abilities are saying, build her off tank, depending upon her ratios. If she has good base damages and like okay ratios, she can build like a bruisery kind of tank, kind of similar to how Mordekaiser plays right now, kind of similar to how Akali was being played at the start of the season with Riftmaker, maybe a Nashor's Tooth, that kind of stuff. If turns out that her ability ratios are absurdly high, then she doesn't need to, and she'll just kill you whatever. Because if her passive also scales off AP, and if it heals her for that AP damage she does, then she will not need to build tanky. She'll need to get maybe 1 health item, and that could be Riftmaker. Since Riftmaker gives, like 250 HP? Or it could build, like, a Proto Belt for mobility, or something of the like. So let's continue. Yeah, it's just so you can see this. You see, someone notice? That final stab and that sound, that's how you know she's got maximum stacks on her. W, Hollowed Mist. Gwen spins up the Hollowed Mist to surround her for 5 seconds, gaining some armor and magic resist when in it. Enemies outside the mist cannot target Gwen or hit her with any abilities. The mist will move to follow Gwen for the first time she tries to leave it, but will dissipate the next time. So, when I first reacted to the teaser, I thought it was an AoE disarm. Turns out this isn't a disarm, which is good. It's just a symbol which looks incredibly like disarm symbol to allow Gwen to make it so that to show up that like, oh, you cannot hit Gwen right now. Now the thing about this is it works similar to a Xin Zhao, where if you're outside of Xin Zhao's ultimate, you cannot hit him. So this is Zin's ultimate on an X second cooldown. So that's pretty bonkers. Plus it gives her armor and magic resistance. So it's a balance between where like, you can't hit me when you're outside of it, but if you are inside the Thunderdome with me, then she gets more. Depending, and of course, it depends on things. If she gets armor and magic resistance based upon how much AP she has, then she might build full AP and just become giga tanky with her W. But if the amount of armor and magic resistance is dependent upon how much armor and magic resistance she already has, then she'll build more off tank. Let's see real quick. Let's see if I can find what disarm looks like. Yeah. So like, disarm here, 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 here. Looks pretty damn close. But anyway. Also, her thing moves with her to allow it to move like once while she's doing it. So it's, again, very similar to Xin Zhao Ultimate, but you can't move around with it. My question with this is, not many top laners really care about being out. Like, they want to be on top of you. They don't really have, like, the meta tops right now. Or not even meta tops, but just top laners in general. What top laners are most likely outside of that circle? Maybe Mordecai, like Mordekaiser's E to engage, Urgot ultimate, Riven ulti if you're far away. There's the biggest thing I find is this is going to just completely cuck some ultis, but other champions say like, I don't know, it, maybe Malphite ultimate if this doesn't like, because what does it is really confusing because we have to see its interactions. Because let's say Young uses his ultimate. He's outside of the circle, but he's travels with the circle. So does he get it because he's now in the circle, or does he not because he was outside of the circle when he started? Same with Malphite. If Malphite ults when she has her circle up, or she reacts to his Malphite ulti, does she get knocked up? Because Malphite is the projectile, and he's in the thing with her. So how does that work? It's mainly gonna cuck ultimates. My question is, could this be flexed mid lane? You can stop a Cinder Stun, or I'm not sure, maybe a Azir ultimate. What could we do here? How does this work with other things? Plus, as we see from, she's mobile and she has this power to her. So let's continue on. Aldenus, again, it depends on how much armor magic she gets. Does it scale off AP? Does it scale off MR? Or does it scale off, armor and magic, or does it scale off AP? The disarm is not a disarm. Even though it looks like a disarm, it just means you can't attack Gwen while outside. Again, like, it also moves with her, which is very powerful for the first time. Skip and slash. Gwen dashes a short distance and empowers her attacks with increased range and speed and on-hit magic damage for 4 seconds. So as we see there, it's my issue with that is that kind of looks a lot like her Q, so it's kind of confusing there. But either way, that's a lot of range. A lot of range to be attacking from as a melee champion. That looks like what would be? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what champion. That's like a range champion. I think that's the same as Urgot attack range, and he's a range champ in top lane. So that's kind of an issue. Attacking an enemy during this rot, I assume that means time, and they just mistyped. Refunds 50% of this ability's cooldown. That's insane. That is some hyper mobility there. Now my question is, does that mean attacking at all gives her just a flat 50%, or does it mean that every time she auto attacks with her E up, when her E buff is up, it refunds part of the cooldown? That's something to think about. I'm not sure. It depends. So again, hypermobile. Something that interests me about that is that's some mobility, and does it go over walls? Because from what we see here, she's a lifesteal tank with armor and magic resist during her W and true damage in her Q that applies on hit healing. Could she be flexed jungle? Because true damage, if she has good base ratios, like just base ability damages, she'd be really good as a jungler. Whether or not it actually fruition depends on jungle matchup. It depends on how many champions work with her. How does a champion like? Okay, so let's talk about it again. Needlework. Gwen casts Needlework up to 3 times, but needs to hit an enemy within 8 seconds to unlock each subsequent cast. Each cast fires needles in a line that deal magic damage, slow enemies, and apply Gwen's 1,000 cuts bonus magic damage. The first cast will fire 1 needle, the second will fire 3, and the final cast will fire 5, for a total of 9 needles and 9 applications of 1,000 cuts to enemies hit. Okay, as you saw, I noticed that in my first teaser when I first saw that champ, so I'm interested in how that goes. My question is, does she need to hit the needles, or does she just need to hit you with auto attacks and that counts? I assume not, because that's already broken. See, 1 to 3, auto attacking, 3 to 5. I assume it's just with the actual skill shot. That thing is, that's a lot of range. that is hitting a lot of AP damage. Plus, it pierces, so that's a big deal in team fights. So now it's splash arts. I could care less. I hate this champion's design. Like, she looks cute, but she's boring. Like, this doesn't look like a doll. But like, hey, whatever. It's not my place to say. Anyway, so let's talk about in total again. So her Q looks to be your main trading potential. That is relatively large, frank. Like it's quite large. So in the center, it does true damage. Again, depends on how much true damage. I think what could happen here is this could turn into what happened to Set, where it's relatively simple champion that isn't. This champion does not seem super complex. It's not fucking Aphelios. It's not anything like that. It's a AP champion that auto attacks, dashes, auto attack, dashes, auto attack, dashes. But they're not complex dashes. They're just normal dashes. So my question is, does this champion get flex jungle like Set was, where this champion will take over meta in 3 lanes, get nerfed to the ground, and then become basically unplayable in a certain place, like Set is now. But Set's basically unplayable in jungle. He's obviously, you can still do it, but that's besides the point. That's not like his main benefactor roles right now are back to top lane with some flex to support and pro play. I haven't seen it very much outside of that. But anyway, this champion, she is a on-hit lifesteal tank, which, depending upon her ratios, will mean whether or not she just is full drain, kind of like how Irelia is now, where she doesn't really build bruiser, but she has so much lifesteal that she's so tanky, or does she build more like old Swain, where it's more HP based, and old Mord, where it's I'm tanky because I have HP and a certain amount of lifesteal / healing. We'll see how that goes. I think this champion in-game is going to be very feast or famine, where if you are ahead, she is going to be unkillable with the amount of healing she gets. Plus Ravenous Hunter. Even, like, what confuses me also is Riot just released stuff that's like, we want to remove healing in the game, but here are 2 new champions that their entire kit is based around healing. What? Either way, it's fucking dumb. Plus, also, they both look like E-boy, E-girl, both boring, and don't have anything cool to them. So, I'm interested in seeing where she goes. How does she affect pro play? She won't come out until after MSI, so we'll probably see her in the summer splits of most things. We'll see how this goes. How does she match up? How does she deal with poke? My question is, how does she become a flex pick for top jungle mid? Does she do well in those matchups? How does her AP ratios in? So overall, ban this champion. If you're an Urgot player like I am, ban this champion, because you will be like, ha ha ha, I can use my ultimate. But I bet, if she runs away from you, and you ulti, or if you ulti her and she has the spike, and she gets away from you because of her 12,000 dashes, and your chains go out, she'll break the chains. I bet that's gonna happen, because guess what? Riot hates Urgot, and that's a fact.